Shavua Tov, a Gute Woch. I want to tell story number 129 of the Shivchei of Shem Tov. The title of the story is Parnasah shel Rab Motl. The Parnasah, the livelihood, the source of livelihood of Rab Motl. This story is about a man who lived in the community of Polnoi. And he used to make favors for the Baal Shem Tov. He had the good habit, for instance, of giving the Baal Shem Tov credit in good faith when the Baal Shem Tov wanted to buy flour or fish. Trusting the Baal Shem Tov will pay whenever. When this man was close to his death, he asked the Baal Shem Tov to take care of his son, his only son, Rab Mordechai, who people nicknamed Rab Motl. And this Rab Motl had ups and downs in his business, did well, did bad. Once he suffered a big fall in business and lost all his properties. He was left with nothing but the house he lived on. The Baal Shem Tov said, when you are called from the house of the poets to have you take care of renting the arrende, the commercial rental place in the city, do not go, even if they call you several times, until they send for you a carriage. And so it was. Many people came to make a deal about the rental of the arrende, and he made no deal with anyone until the wife of the poets sent for him, and he didn't want to go, saying that he wasn't feeling well and he couldn't even stand on his feet. And indeed, he was not feeling so well. And so it happened the next Monday and Tuesday until this lady sent for him a carriage to be taken to the fortress of the poets to sign the contract, the commercial rental contract. And he said that he did not have money to pay, and that if he loses this arrende place, he wouldn't have a place where to distill his wine to make brandy, his source of income. So she said, I will give you grain for the value of several hundred coins. So he accepted and signed the rental contract of the arrende for someone else to rent, I guess. So the woman was very happy for having rented the place, and he gained the value of 2,000 red coins. So first she offered several hundred, but he ended up getting 2,000. The Baal Shem Tov told him, do not make commercial deals with oxen. Don't be in that business. He did not listen, started dealing with oxen, and he came back from a business trip with his pockets empty. And so happened several times. He lost everything he had, and he acquired a big debt with a certain lord, with a certain poets, for the value of 1,300 gold coins. He did not have how to pay such an amount. And so the poet said, if he has no money to pay him, I will have him shot with a barrel of a gun. Motl heard his, and he was in fear for his soul. He went to the Baal Shem Tov and stayed there Yamim Noraim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. The poets demanded the payment, and he said, I have no money to pay. After Yom Kippur, at the time of Ashmores Aboker, before the break of dawn, the Baal Shem Tov called him to come with him to the mikvah, and he went. After that, the Baal Shem Tov sent him home, and Rab Motl, afraid of the poets, he asked, what would happen to me if I go home? The Baal Shem Tov said, go, don't delay. So he went home and celebrated every day of the Yom Tov, Sukkot that comes after Yom Kippur, every day with great happiness. After the Yom Tov, after Sukkot, it was a time of rain, and he was very worried and stressed, and he started smoking his pipe because of his stress, his lulke, his pipe. And he looked out the window, and there was a caravan of Gentile shepherds that were coming into town looking for a place to lodge. They came through the way they always come, and they were looking for where to lodge, and they couldn't find a place because there were like 40 or 50 of them. No place for so many people. They come to his house and ask if they can be welcomed, and he welcomed them, gave them everything they wanted to drink and to eat, and told them that he lodges them. Immediately, he went to his neighbor, and he got from him a quart or 2 quarts, a small amount of brandy, and gave them to drink, and they pay him. And then he continued with his buying from his neighbor the brandy and selling to them and making a percentage on the deal until he had enough to buy a full liter, literally a liter, but not the model measurement of a liter, whatever the amount it was of brandy. So they ate and they drank and they lodged by him. And when it was time for them to go, they asked to have him send them several barrels of brandy that they can take with them. And their desire for it was so great. They finished all those barrels, and when they came to the city, they wanted to stay by him several times more, buy him a brandy, I'm sure, until he had enough money to pay the entire debt, except for a small coin. It says here literally a dinar. Dinar is from the time of the Gemara. Obviously, it was not a coin in Poland, but a small amount. One of the shepherds left the group to come back to pay him the last coin, the last thing he needed. Now he had all the money for the payment for the poritz. And then he sees the poritz is coming in his horse, calling him to come urgently, and asked him, "Do you have the money?" "I have the money," and invited the poritz to come to his house and pay him everything he owed. The poritz said, "I was told that you had no money to pay. Now I see you do. It was a lie. You can keep the money as long as you want." He didn't want to take the money because he said, "We don't see those miracles every day." The Baal Shem Tov taught Motl how fortunate he is, this poritz. For if you didn't have the money, it is him who would have had to die. Midei Shamayim, by the hand of heaven. And I think this is how, by his father being so good with the Baal Shem Tov and giving credit, now, even when he had the money, the poritz gives him the credit, something that definitely was not a usual thing happening. How long a good deed can last even into the next generation, let alone the blessing of the tzaddik. I am translating all the stories of the Shivchei Baal Shem Tov from the original in Hebrew and tell them here in the channel in English and in Spanish every Motzei Shabbos, as well as I'm working on a translation of the text, the original text in Hebrew, into Spanish with the hopes to edit and publish the entire book for the first time in Spanish. For my efforts, I appreciate contributions linked in the description. A monthly subscription with a Patreon will help me tremendously. I can count on, or anything you want to send by PayPal or with a thanks button. Thank you so much. Prayers for our Jewish brethren in Eretz Israel and everywhere in the world where there are problems. Blessings for everyone. Shavua Tov. A good Tevach.